guys, my name is Rodney Banta, otherwise known as Rodnator, and this is your D&D channel. So today I'm going to be doing something that might not really qualify as a template, but in its own way it kind of is. It's an add-on to your character, but it doesn't actually have level adjustments. How you pay for this is with cost of actual ability. So today it's going to be coming out of our Book of Exalted Deeds. This one is going to be found with the feats, actually. So let's jump in there. Feats on page 39. Jump right in there. I'm taking forever already. You can tell I'm totally prepped for this one. So what we are going to be talking about today is, of course, Vow of Poverty. Vow of Poverty is, I can already tell you, probably the most powerful ability in the entire game. But at the same time, you have a major drawback, and that is that you are taking a vow of poverty. So let me quick get into what this requires, if I can find it. Vow of Poverty requires Sacred Vow, another exalted feat. But it states that it gives you a bonus to AC, ability, saves, and feats. See page 29. So I'm going to jump back to page 29. So, voluntary poverty. I'm going to read what this actually is. In many cultures and beliefs, the height of purity is embodied in the ascetic lifestyle and involves forswearing material... Oh my heavens. In the ascetic lifestyle and involves forswearing all material possessions. Such in life is hard for most D&D characters, even to imagine, since their possessions, particularly magic items, are such an important part of their capabilities. A character who swears a vow of poverty and takes the appropriate feats, Sacred Vow, Vow of Poverty, cannot own magic items, but he gains certain spiritual benefits that can help outweigh the lack of those items. A level at which the character swears the vow and takes the appropriate feats is irrelevant. If he gives up his possessions at 10th level, he gains all the benefits of a 10th level aesthetic character, with the exception of the bonus exalted feats. So you're going to want to take this as soon as possible. Say human level 1 right away. Just drop it. This is just what you want to do. Maybe take monk. It's really stupid good on monk. So, because they already don't need much material items. They don't wear armor. They don't wield weapons. So monk, it's saucy. So the first benefit of voluntary poverty is going to be at level 1, you will gain AC bonus plus 4. That's just flat. That's guaranteed. AC bonus plus 4. That is just miscellaneous. So let's say you are a monk. You have a 4 wisdom. Now you've got an 18 armor class before dexterity. Dexterity might be a plus 3 or plus 2, so you're looking at somewhere between 20 to 21, maybe 22 if you're lucky. Next is at second level you'll get a bonus exalted feat. This would be a very good opportunity to jump into Touch of the Golden Ice if you are playing a monk, because then you're going to be punching people constantly and applying fort saves or turn to ice, which is just fantastic. Also, Vow of Poverty is a great way to become a saint. It's going to get you 2 of your feats out of the way and give you all of these bonus exalted feats just for free. So the 3 exalted feat minimum is just easy to acquire. At level 3, that AC bonus is going to jump up to plus 5, and you're also getting Endure Elements. Now, how Endure Elements works for these guys is a 3rd level Aztec is immune to the effects of being in a hot or cold environment. You can exist comfortably in conditions between -50 and 140 degrees Fahrenheit without having to make fortitude saves. So basically, from the coldest desert to the hottest desert, you're fine. Next up, at 4th level, you get Exalted Strike plus 1 magic and another bonus exalted feat. Once again, another bonus exalted feat. This one, since you can't take Ancestral Relic, you might look into other vows. Maybe take Nymph's Kiss, Nimbus of Light, Stigmata, things like that. But what Exalted Strike does is Exalted Strike. At 4th level, an Aztec gains a plus 1 enhancement bonus to all attack and damage rolls. In this effect, any weapon the character wields becomes a plus 1 magic weapon and can overcome damage reduction of a creature as though it were a magic weapon. This rises to plus 2 at 10th, plus 3 at 14th, plus 4 at 17th, and plus 5 at 20th. At 10th level, any weapon the character deals is also considered good aligned for overcoming damage reduction to evil outsiders. To bypass the damage reduction of some evil outsiders. So it's not specifically limited to evil outsiders, it's just telling you that that's pretty much what that's for. So what this is basically saying is anything you wield is a plus 1 enchanted item. Another thing that I forgot to mention earlier, to qualify for voluntary poverty, you can have one non-masterwork simple weapon. So if you are playing a monk, you can have a quarterstaff. If you're playing a cleric, you can have your mace. But it has to be a non-masterwork simple weapon. Next up, at 5th level, we get Sustenance. This means that you no longer need to eat or drink, and you only need 2 hours of sleep per night. But I want to read it directly from them. Yeah, it doesn't need to eat or drink. So they actually don't get the Ring of Sustenance effect of only 2 hours of sleep. Never mind. But they don't have to eat or drink. They're just sustained by their vow, I guess. At 6th level, that AC bonus jumps up to a +6. You also get a deflection bonus of +1. So deflection bonus is only applied to ranged attacks. So basically, you have that +6 anyway, but when somebody shoots an arrow at you, you have a +1 AC against that. And you also get another bonus exalted feat at 6th level. At 7th level, you get resistance +1. What that is going to do is gain +1 resistance bonus on all saving throws. And that's going to improve as we level up. I always get to those as we level up. At 8th level, on top, or 7th level, on top of your resistance, you get an ability score enhancement +2. So I'm going to read what that is. Ability score enhancement. At 7th level, an Aesthetic gains a +2 enhancement bonus to one ability score. Yeah, just any one ability score +2. Recommend Wisdom, especially because at this point, you are now level 7. So assume you took Saint, put that in your Wisdom. If you didn't take Saint, put that in your Dex. Oh, another exalted feat that you might want to take is called, I think it's Intuitive Strike, Wisdom to hit. So that way you don't even have to have a high strength, so you can really put all your skill, or all your, let's say, point buy, or your really high skill, or really high abilities into things like Wisdom, Charisma, Dexterity, things like that. At level 7, or at level 8, sorry, your natural armor is going to improve by 1. So that is just going to go directly to your armor class, but that's not like the other one, which applies to everything. The natural armor is only going to apply like an armor bonus. It's only going to give you on flat-footed as well as your base AC. It's not going to help you with touch attacks or anything, whereas all the others will, except deflection, I guess. Then you also get Mind Shielding and another bonus exalted feat. These bonus exalted feats come every other level, by the way. But Mind Shielding, what that does, let me see. An 8th level Aesthetic character becomes immune to detect thoughts and discern lies in any attempt to discern their alignment. So no longer can anyone guess your alignment with spells or tell if you're telling the truth or not. But reasonably, if you are going a Saint, you probably aren't lying that much. But you don't have to be a Saint to have this. You could be a chaotic, good, dashing rogue who took Vow of Poverty because you decided to forego greed, and that because maybe it got a partner of yours killed or something, and you're just done with that. And then you end up dedicating yourself to this. Even though you're 7th level, it still gives you all the benefits up to this point except the bonus exalted feats. Which is why personally I think you still should take this at lower levels. Next up, we are now at level 9. Your armor class bonus improves to +7. And that's it. It's just a dead bonus. Just +6 or +7. Which is very helpful to have a +7 at this point because let's say your Wisdom to AC from a monk doubles with your Saint Wisdom to ACs. You're up to a +5 because you use your enhancement bonus on your 18 to get it to a 20. So that's 20 already. Add this 7, 27, 28 against ranged attacks, 28 against melee attacks. So your AC is 28 without any dexterity included. So let's say your dexterity is a +2. You're at an AC 30 here at level 9, which is kind of ridiculous when you're wearing absolutely no items whatsoever. Now, at 10th level, your Exalted Strike becomes a +2 to hit, +2 to damage on any weapon you wield, and it also does that good damage. But you also unlock Damage Reduction 5/Magic. Damage Reduction 5/Magic is going to make you remove 5 points of damage from any non-magical damage source. So a person hits you with a 1d6 short sword that has a 1d6 fire enchantment on it. That 1d6 short sword, if he rolls a 3, he does 3 plus 2 damage from his strength, because he's a rogue, so he hits you for 5, you ignore all 5 of that. Then he hits you with that fire damage. That fire would also, well, in this case, the fire would get through, but I believe you also eventually get resistance fire from this as well. But you also, because it is an even numbered level, again, you get level 10, a bonus exalted feat. Level 11, you get an ability score enhancement +4. So the same ability that you improved the first time improves by another 2, but also you get another +2 to a separate ability score. And this is going to continue this way. So you're going to want to make sure that the abilities you choose to start increasing are your most important abilities. Don't put it in a dump stat just to get it from being a 9, because that is going to get locked into that ability, and it's just going to keep getting better. So I'd say, for instance, your monk, you have your wisdom, your dexterity, and your constitution. Or maybe wisdom, dexterity, and charisma, because saint stuff goes off charisma. Or if you're a cleric, wisdom, charisma, constitution, wisdom, charisma, strength, things like that. Now we are up to level 12. At level 12, your AC bonus flat goes up to a +8. Your deflection bonus, which is the one that works against ranged attacks, that goes up by 2. So you're looking at a +10 against ranged attacks. You also get greater resistance. Greater resistance. Once an aesthetic attains 12th level, an aesthetic character does not need to breathe. Oh, sorry, that's sustenance. Yeah, greater sustenance. Sorry, it's greater sustenance. You no longer need to breathe at level 12. No longer required to breathe air. Like, you can swim to the bottom of an ocean. You can climb to the tallest mountain. You can go deep into a cave where there's no air source. You don't need to breathe. You don't need to eat. You don't need to drink. Greater sustenance. That's just some nonsense right there. And I think the idea why they're giving these guys stuff like this is because you're supposed to be traveling and preaching like how Vow of Poverty is amazing, you know, almost to worship poverty in its own, or at least worship a deity that likes poverty. My recommendation here, Phyron, god he's the martyr god or whatever. He is a god in this book, Exalted Deeds, and his deal is that he was the tortured saint. So if you are being tortured, you can pray to him, and he will take the pain from you. But what that is, he actually experiences that pain himself, which is kind of nice. Next up, we have level 13. You get resistance +2, which resistance +2 is going to give you a +2 to all your saving throws. That does not stack with your +1. That just is a total of +2 now. And then you get energy resistance 5, so I was right. At 13th level, an Aztec gains resistance 5 to acid, cold, electricity, fire, and sonic, which means everything short of negative energy and positive energy, even if they hit you through your damage reduction with their fire attack, it's going to block 5 damage of that. So it's DR specifically to elemental damages. And you've got pretty much everything short of positive and negative energy. So that's pretty good. Next up, we have, at 14th level, Exalted Strike upgrades to a +3, meaning you have a +3 to hit, +3 to damage on everything. It's still dealing good damage to overcome damage reduction. But you get Freedom of Movement. At 14th level, an Aztec can act as if continually under the effect of a Freedom of Movement spell, which basically means if you would be stunned somehow, you're not. If you were to be stuck in place somehow, you're not. You can always move. Nothing can stop you from moving. And you also, because it's an even number level again, you get a bonus Exalted Feat. At this point, we've got almost every Exalted Feat in the book. I recommend piling up different vows. Vow of Peace is also really good, but if you take it, you're basically never in combat, so all of these combat benefits aren't really worth it. Maybe if you are a frontliner and you don't deal damage, you're like, no, just attack me and they can't hit you, especially if you had Vow of Poverty and Vow of Peace. You'd be basically unstoppable, but at the same time, because of Vow of Peace, you wouldn't be able to use that unstoppable quality of yours. At 15th level, your AC is going to... Wait, didn't I just... Freedom... Okay. At 15th level, your base armor bonus for being exalted is going to give you a +9. You have another ability score enhancement. So what this is going to do is the first ability you enhanced is going to go to a +6 to that score. The second ability you enhance goes to +4, and now you get to pick a new third ability to enhance to a +2, which is fantastic. So at this point, let's say wisdom, charisma, and dexterity. You know, you're just buffing your stats constantly, because the idea is people would be buying things like gloves of dexterity or gauntlets of ogre strength or bracers of constitution or belt of lion's endurance. I don't know. But that's the idea, is that you're getting these stats and they're enhancement, meaning they're not taken away when somebody has anti-magic circle on. Now, on top of that, you now have damage reduction 5/evil. And if you watch my Saint video, I explain how pretty much nothing damages you with evil damage. So you're overcoming theoretically all sources of damage at least by 5, which is just phenomenal. And this will stack with the Saint's damage reduction, giving you, like, at this level, this is 15, you probably have damage reduction 15/evil now, meaning nothing can really damage you. You're basically invincible. Even more invincible than the Saint was invincible, because you're just building on top of him. This works incredibly well with Saint. I really recommend taking both. But for Saint, you do have to be an exalted character. Like Vow of Poverty, you can be a scumbag. There's no requirement outside of being a good guy, having the good alignment. You could be a chaotic good, person who lies and cheats all the time, steals, but you do the right thing. So even though you don't follow the laws or respect an honor code, you maybe even are a backstabber, you can still take Vow of Poverty. Whereas you can't take Sainthood if you're any of those things. Sainthood is going to be mostly locked into follows a strict honor code to yourself, doesn't betray others, tries not to lie, tries not to cheat, never steals, things like that. Now that's going to bring us up into level 16. Your natural armor bonus is going to improve to a +2, which means that on top of your +9, when melee attacks hit you, you've got a +11 to your armor class. This is pretty much on par now with your deflection bonus. And then you also, because it's an even numbered level, get another bonus exalted feat. At this point, you probably have most of them in the game. At the end of this video, I'm going to go into the bonus exalted feats and read off a couple of them that are my favorite ones. Since if you're taking this, you're going to be building these up like crazy. Imagine a fighter saint who has Vow of Poverty. He's going to have so many feats. Every other level, he's getting an exalted feat, and he's getting a bonus feat. Like, it's crazy. Moving on, then, we are now at level 17. Your exalted strike is going to improve to a +4, so that's +4 to hit, +4 to damage. It's also dealing good damage. Your resistance is going to upgrade to a +3, so that's +3 on all your saving throws, and regeneration. And I've mentioned in in a podcast I'm going to be uploading with my buddy, regeneration is one of the hardest things to get in the game. It's way harder than fast healing. Fast healing means that if you get a cut on your arm, it starts to heal instantly in a couple of seconds, if not a minute. All of your wounds are healed. Regeneration, on the other hand, is that if you lose a limb, it will grow back. So let me read this. At 17th level, an Aztec heals 1 point of damage every hour rather than every day. Cannot be aided by heal skill. Non-lethal damage heals at a rate of 1 point of damage per every 5 minutes. But it is called regeneration, which means it regenerates limbs. Next up, we have, at 18th level, your AC bonus upgrades to a +10. So you now have a flat +10 on all of your armor classes. A deflection bonus upgrades to +3, so that's giving you a +13 armor class against ranged attacks. You get True Seeing, which is another very, very, very powerful ability. True Seeing, let me read it for these guys. True Seeing. At 18th level, an Aztec gains a continuous True Seeing ability as a spell. True Seeing allows you to see through everything. You know an illusion's an illusion. You know that guy's got magic. You literally have, like, Mage Eye. Like, you constantly see the truth of everything. Finally, at level 19, you're going to get an ability score enhancement again. This time you pick a 4th ability. Your first ability is at a +8, then a +6 for your second, +4 for your third, and a +2 for your fourth. So that means 4 of your 6 skills are all getting buffed in some way enhancement-wise, which is just fantastic. I mean, I can picture that +8 going on your wisdom. That's stacking with your monk wisdom to AC. That's stacking with your saint wisdom to AC. I mean, your AC you're completely unhittable. Sure, you're not wearing a big suit of tanky armor, but you're also probably moving incredibly fast because you're an 18th level monk. Moving on, we have at... Oh, and you also, at 19, your damage reduction is going to upgrade to 10/evil. So if you stack that on top of Saint, you're looking at 20/evil. Nothing can damage you. I mean, even if they're doing evil damage, they might hurt you a little bit, but you're going to regenerate that back, if not just have heal spells or some other heal buff guy next to you to fix it. And if you're a Saint, you get fast healing. At 20th level, your Exalted Strike is going to upgrade to its maximum of a +5 to hit, +5 to damage. You get Energy Resistance 15, which means your resistance to all those previously mentioned damage types, acid, cold, electricity, and fire, those now ignore 15 points of damage, which means unless somebody's shooting you with a lightning bolt, fireball, sonic ray, you know, if it's a weapon enchantment that's hitting you, it's not going to damage you. Even if it did like 3d6 damage, the maximum on 3d6 damage is going to be 16, so at most 1 point of damage. Next up, at level 20, our final thing is another bonus exalted feat, which brings us to the end of this table. You can find this table on in the Book of Exalted Deeds on page 30. Highly recommended book. But before I end today, I want to jump into exalted feats. And actually, real quick, since I just turned to the page, Golden Ice. Touch of the Golden Ice. Let me read this. I just happened to see it. Golden Ice. Crystalline substance is cold to the touch, although it doesn't melt except in infernally high temperatures such as those of the 9 hells. Evil creatures subjugated to it feel a cold spreading throughout their bodies as if through their blood. Golden Ice is a contact, so all they have to do is touch it, which I mentioned before. You can, like, you touch the Golden Ice, you touch them. And it has a contact DC of 10 plus 4 plus charisma modifier. So, like... Basically, if your charisma modifier, let's say you're level 20 from this, it's got that secondary buff of the +6. It started as an 18 because you were an ASMR. It now is a 24. That 24 is going to have a +7, so you have a DC 17 poison every time you punch them. I hit you 9 times because I'm a monk. Make that save 9 times. And now what it does is that the first round it does a D6 dex strain because it's literally spreading through their body like a plague. And then on the second round it deals 2d6 dex damage, and it continues to do this until they freeze solid. Now there is no way to free them from this except by literally taking them to hell. So basically if you entomb somebody like this, they're just taken out of the game. You're not even dying Like, you're just stuck until you starve to death. And even if I were the DM, I might even say you don't starve to death. Also, I just turned to it. Here's a picture of that Phyron deity. I don't know how it's shown, but he's getting tortured here by like a snake dude. That's what Phyron is all about. He is my favorite god in the entire game. I really love having characters myself that worship him, because you get to be really, really nice to people and take their injuries out of them, like Stigmata. So, first thing we're going to do is I'm going to break down, I've said it a lot, Ancestral Relic. Ancestral Relic allows you to create a personal magic item. So I'm going to... Wow, did they start on the first page? Yeah. Ancestral Relic. You own an ancestral heirloom and can invest it with increasing power. Prerequisites: any good alignment and character level 3. Choose an item you own. The item must be of masterwork quality, which is why it doesn't work with Vow of Poverty. Oh, it's one simple weapon. Must be of masterwork quality, and it must be an item that belonged to a member of your family, or alternatively, it may belong to another person in which you are somehow connected. So basically, your captain lost his life to save you, and you picked up his unenchanted sword. You can make that your ancestral relic. Anytime you retreat to a hallowed location or spend time in prayer in order to awaken, at any time, you may retreat to a consecrated or hallowed location, spend time in prayer, and awaken the spirits of your ancestral relic. This requires a sacrifice of valuable items worth the difference between the market price of the magic item of your relic and the market price of your current relic. This sacrifice does not have to be gold. You can sacrifice magic items or other goods worth the required amount rather than selling your goods just to pay for the sacrifice. You must spend 1 day per 1,000 GP of value for your sacrifice. During this time, you must spend at least 8 hours each day in prayer or meditation, not stopping to eat or rest, which would be fine if Vow of Poverty worked with it. For example, a 4th level paladin, I don't care about the example. So these price values are here on page 41. At the 3rd level, it can be 1350, which basically means it can't even be a +1 weapon yet. It can be a special material. It now has the qualities of mithril. It now has the qualities of adamant. It now has the qualities of cold iron. But it doesn't actually have an enchantment. At level 4, it goes up to 2,700, which means now it can have the ability of +1 enchantment. At level 5, it's going to be 4,500, so now it's up to +2, so you can give it +1 keen. And this just continues exponentially until at level 20, it's 380,000. So you'll find it's never going to be quite as high tier as you'll probably find adventuring. But the fact is that if somebody else were to pick up your ancestral relic, it doesn't work. It's specifically your item. And it does get an ancestral or an exalted feat out of the way. And it's nice just to have a free enchanted item. Plus, it lets you change what it is. So you can be like, oh, you know, I tried this enchantment. I didn't really like it. I'm going to put a new one on it. And I'm just going to go pray for a day. Okay, so a couple of feats that I really like. The first one, let me see, Nimbus of Light. Nimbus of Light is a 20-foot torch on you. It also gives you a +2 on diplomacy and sense motive with good creatures. So people really like you. It's like when you see those pictures of like Jesus and he has that big glowy light behind him that looks like a star going out in every direction. That is a Nimbus of Light. So it actually describes it sometimes as just being a halo that glows really bright, but it's like behind your head, like facing at that angle. Next we have Holy Radiance. Love this as well. Your Nimbus of Light now damages undead. And I'm just going to read that real quick, because I believe it's a D4, but it might even just be 1 point of damage until it gets better. Nimbus of Light. Holy Radiance. Requires Charisma 15 and Nimbus of Light. At will, as a free action, you can empower the radiance surrounding you into a glow that sheds bright light in a 10-foot radius. Undead within 10 feet of you take a D4 points of damage per round while they remain within your halo. So yeah, 10 feet around you, undead, just take a D4 for free. And that's just useful. And tack that on with the Saints one that hurts them for like a D4 as well. You're looking at almost, that's 2D4. That's a better version of a longsword every round to everything within 10 feet of you. Finally, feat that I highly recommend if you're playing like a Phyron cleric or something would be Stigmata. Heal others' wounds by taking con damage. How this functions is if somebody, let's say, has the plague and they're dying of the plague, but you have immunity to disease. You drag that plague out of them. You take the con damage. It hurts you. But you are immune to the plague, so it can no longer spread throughout your body. You have 2 days of illness while you fight it off, and then they're cured. So this is a very good way to deal with sacrifice. It's a very good way to help random peasants. It's a good way to get information. You know, you go into the slums, you're looking for the Thieves Guild. You go and you heal a child on the street, and you start doing this. You start performing minor miracles. Then you inquire as to where the Thieves Guild is. People are way more likely to help you. They're going to be like, well, why does this guy want the Thieves Guild? He's clearly a selfless healer. It's like, well, he's probably trying to help somebody else. Maybe their family member's been kidnapped by the Thieves Guild. Maybe, you know, a million reasons. It's up to the DM and you to decide that. But it's a good way to get information, even if you're not looking for specifically a Thieves Guild. If you're just looking for information about a corrupt king or a bad official who has been abusing his power. These are ways that you can do that. I healed your son of his deathly illness, right? Another one that I like, and I mentioned a few times, is Nymph's Kiss. Nymph's Kiss is really easy to take, has absolutely no prerequisites. +2 bonus on charisma-related checks. So you have a +2 on all charisma checks, and a +1 saving throw against spells, and 1 extra skill point per level. So basically, this gives you the best benefit of being a human outside of the bonus feat, and you get a +2 charisma-related effects, and a +1 on saving throws against spells. So that's just really helpful. Now, Sacred Vow, I mentioned that quite a bit today. It gives you a +2 raw on diplomacy, and you have to make a vow. You know, I vow to avenge my fallen loved one isn't good enough. You just make a vow. But after that, that opens up a whole slew of other vows. For instance, Vow of Abstinence, +4 perfection bonus on fort saves against poison and drugs. But also, you can't drink. You can't, whore. You can't do anything that would be considered, you have to abstain from stuff. Abstain from worldly pleasures. The next one is Vow of Chastity, which we all know what chastity is, but what that one gives you is will saves against charms and phantasms. So Succubus tries to seduce you, you get a +4 against it because you're chaste, you might see this a lot on NPCs, maybe not player characters, but it's a good way to make your, if you're in a party of dudes who are always just dude broing it up, just take a vow of chastity and be like, I'm getting power from it, I don't do that kind of thing, I'm going to skip going to the tavern today. Now the next one is Vow of Nonviolence. +4 bonus saving DCs of all non-damaging spells. So you're an enchantment mage, right? You stop people from fighting before the fight starts. You charm them. You sleep them. You do that kind of thing. This is going to give you a +4 on your save DCs as long as it's not a damaging spell, which is super stupid useful. Then we have Vow of Peace. I've mentioned that in here today. It has an entire table on it as well, so I'm going to make a separate video. I'm going to make that literally next, so it's going to be next week's Template Tuesday is going to be Vow of Peace. But basically, it gives you a calming aura, which is going to stack with like Saint's aura, and it's going to give you a +6 varied bonus to your AC, and that's just what it says right here in the short description, but it's way more complicated than that, which is why it does require its own video. Then we have Vow of Obedience. You have a plus. Now, of course, I swear to always follow my Lord, or I swear to always do as my God commands, or I swear to follow the tenets of my God at all times, right? Very easy to take as a paladin because you're probably already doing these things. Vow of Obedience gives you a +4 perfection will save against compulsion. So somebody does, rage on you and they want you to attack your buddy or frenzy or confusion or whatever. You get a +4 to resist that. You're not going to break your rules. You're not going to break your laws because you have taken a vow, not to do that. Next we have Vow of Poverty, which is what this video was, and then Vow of Purity. Vow of Purity gives you a +4 protection bonus on fort saves against disease and death. What that basically means, Vow of Purity, is that you don't soil yourself in any way. You don't do drugs. You don't drink alcohol. You don't sleep with whores. You might not even, it's kind of the culmination of several other of these vows. You vow to be pure in every way. I will not cast that evil spell. I will not slaughter these orc children even though they're going to grow up to be evil. I will not, that is Vow of Purity. But anyway, those are all of the vows. I'm going to go into a couple more real quick. Touch of the Golden Ice, of course, I've already mentioned it. Evil creatures touched are ravaged by Golden Ice. Words of Creation. Words of Creation allows you to use Words of Creation when you're making spells, so if you're a cleric or something, and that dramatically enhances their save DCs. It's like Dark Speech from Vile Darkness, except it's good guys. Words of Creation can also be used to learn true names. True names can be used to summon a creature. They can be used to harm a creature from a long distance, and I think compel them to do exactly what you want. So that's very powerful. You're speaking the name of their soul, not the name necessarily of their person, but the name of their soul. What the deity that made them put there. That is what you were calling out with true names. Finally, you have Sanctify Martial Strike, which requires weapon focus and weapon specialization. +1 damage to evil and +1 d4 against undead and outsiders. Just damage. You also have that for Key Strike. So if you're a monk, does the exact same thing. You have Sanctify Natural Attack if you're a monster, which does exactly the same thing. Sanctify Weapon, which makes it do a d6 sanctified damage, which is better than good damage. That, it requires being able to cast a line weapon, so boom, my weapon would be good. This allows you to make it sanctified, which is a better, more intense version of damage, and it upgrades from a D6 to a D8 versus undead, and I think a D10 versus evil outsiders, such as demons or devils. But anyway, guys, I'm running at 30 minutes here. Oh yeah, Purify spell adds the good spell descriptor to any spell. Meta magic feat consecrate spell does that. Purify spell requires consecrate spell and adds a good descriptor to spell. Natural creatures take half damage, good creatures take no damage. So let's say your wizard takes that, he applies it to his fireball. It's a fireball of golden radiance. He casts it right through his allies. None of his allies got hurt because they're good. All of the evil orcs or undead just got annihilated. But anyway, guys, I'm passing 30 minutes, so I'm going to have to cut this video short. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. If you like these Template Tuesday videos, please leave a comment and let me know. Today, I have to say, it's not really a template, but it's kind of a template. I have a couple of different things I'm thinking about doing for templates later on. Next week is going to be Vow of Purity, and the week after that, I've already planned, it's going to be an explanation of what bloodlines are. You'll find bloodlines on the D20 SRD under variant rules. They're fantastic. They're kind of like templates. They're basically templates, but you have to burn your level adjustment as you take them. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. My name is Rodney Banta, otherwise known as Rodnator, and this was your D&D channel. Have a really nice day.